All right. It shouldn't be that. All right. I'm just trying to figure out some stuff here real quick. Okay, no, I think we're looking good. Ugh, all right. Let's go ahead and throw on some music here so I can get this, so I can shake off some of this angst. Fuck me. Like it just got like real like weird for all this shit, but I think we're good now. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Yeah, no, okay, cool. Yeah, it looks like we're on there for on both ends. So, all right. Whew. I thought I thought that was it. I thought that was it. Oh man. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm glad we were able to figure that out. So, yeah, let me go ahead and put on some nice chill music. Right? Let me throw on the instrumental. Throw on some of the most pop. That's good. We'll throw on the newest. You know how it goes. All right. Boom. All right. Alrighty. Looks like everything's good. We got a proper frame rate going on. All right. Cool. All right. Hi. Oh my goodness. Hello. Welcome. Welcome, students of all shapes and sizes. First off, I have to thank you. All right, currently I'm live right now on Twitch and YouTube, just trying to say thank you to all the live people that are here, and also just thank you for 100 subs on YouTube. Look at that. Slowly but surely. I love it. I like to see this little community growing that we have here and stuff. You're looking at all the crazy stuff that we're watching, all the stuff that we're checking out. Like, we're having a good time. And I'm super glad that it's been good. It's been good. And what was it? I think started all the way back when. Goodness, let's go ahead and take a gander here. All right. Look at this. Look at this bad boy. Goodness. Hundo. Right there, baby. Right on the money. Look at that. And for today, because of that, look at this. Let's see here. We started this channel not too long ago. I think, was it the first upload? Was it literally a year ago? No, for real? It's saying about a year ago. Damn. Closing up to almost a year ago. Let me get more confirmation on this here for a second. Let's see here. My start. see. So let me go right side of your profile, clicking and on my go to URL. Okay. Let me hop on over and like let's try to get that exact date on when this bad boy was live. Because I'm super excited to see. Let's see here. All right. I remember, like, what was the first collab we did with Sackhead Ed? Ah. Good times. Good times. I'm trying to get the specific date on when I can. My channel. It doesn't really give you like. Oh, okay. We joined. Wow, we're over. Look at that. And then our first upload was uploaded. Wow, yeah. First upload was on August 30th. August 30th. So 2 weeks. 2 weeks after it, and we already got 100 students up in here watching the video, supporting the channel, and having a good time. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's wild stuff. That's wild stuff. Here. For funsies. For funsies. Let's check out. Yeah, I don't need to be there. All right. So yeah, for funsies, let's see the one of the first videos that we did. All right. Yeah, that's probably the most popular one. Of course, like the Among Us one is definitely the most popular. I did a video with Danny and stuff. Oh yeah, we did the trailer and stuff. That was a lot of fun. Oh yeah, and then this is when we first started live streaming. Here. What was it? We talked about bears, and I started doing like the highlights of it. Medical malpractice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is when we were doing 3 streams, and we would dive deeper and deeper into it, and we would play games for it. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was my the first short that we did. We played a nice game. Oh yeah, first the wonderful field trip that we did. Talked about color and Bigfoot. Oh yeah, we talked about like certain parts of a Yahweh and stuff with weird thumbnails. I got to change those up. Then we did like a mythical May, which I think like definitely should be brought back. Then we played D&D, and that was fun. But like my audio was like all fucked up on that. That was it. Yeah, we watched some computers stuff. We talked about computers. Like I wanted to like almost center it around like a certain month. And we talked about sleeping. And I think this is when we kind of started getting like more into like the proper like void stuff. Even like, what was it? The older like, what was it? Like you can even see here on like some of the old setup stuff, right? Let's see this. Oh, come on. Show me the old setup. Show me the old setup. Yeah. Look at that. What was it? We got the like TV screen showing. Oh, man. Yeah, we had chat right here. Space Cad still here, showing the love. I love it. And stuff. Oh, yeah, we were talking about shifting. We had the stream avatars, and that was a lot of fun. Oh, man. We had the background and stuff like that. What was it? Prior to this, like the setup changed so often. Yeah, the setup changed so much in the parts where, what was it? that stuff. That's funny. Yeah, and then now we got a nice little, gorgeous little TV here, a nice little pattern going on. Looking pretty fancy, huh? Huh? Not too bad. Oh my goodness. It got me so excited to do all this wonderful stuff. Oh man. And we still got so much more to do. I still got goals that we're going to be talking about. And like, yeah, we're going to be setting up. We talked about walking and all that. Of course, that's the latest stuff. But what was it? One of like the first here. Okay. Let me choose one. I don't want to like choose a long one. Man, but I like really tried to extend them all. Okay. We'll watch this one. We'll watch like the first official video that we did. Now it actually might be pretty loud, so let's see what's up. Make sure it's not too loud. Oh shit. The pen is mightier than the sword. What? Such a lovely and optimistic saying. Or threat. Information today. I need to get my hair cut. Get the haircut back into the trim side. Is the weapon. Oh yeah, I had like DaVinci Resolve and like I thought like I was doing like, what was it, like this is like your first time color grading. And so I had like the green light and the red light and like what was it? I'm not like in a dark room now. I'm like in like I have like a black backdrop. And that's how like that's kind of like how it started. And basically like the whole goal was just to educate while scaring the shit out of people. Now I just want to weird you out. That will conquer all nations tomorrow. So if a pen is mightier than the sword, what is a computer? To
a nuclear explosion.
One is constructed to be seizure warning there through devastation. Hit the mic. But the other brings information used for manipulation on every civilization through secret implementation, closing naturally on.
Many people are attempting to use computers to replace man.
Virtual zombification. I tell you. Got all this shit on my desk. That took so long, like that like fall and dribble. Oh, nah, like that took about, I would almost say like, that took a whole entire day. Just that alone took a whole entire day. Like I could not deal with that shit. It was not fun. And then, we got into the intro and stuff. We're going to go ahead and zoom just like right to the end, just because like I don't want to spend too much of you guys' time, because we got a big topic today. We literally got 2 topics to go over. So this is going to be a long stream. As you can tell, I don't have my timer down anymore. No, this is going to be just unhinged. So I'm super excited. So, okay, let's go ahead and let me get right back into it. Now they practically live among us, collecting, altering, and storing information for other devices. I had like the Fu Manchu going on. You see that? You see that, students? And people to do the same. We practically rely on them. We use information for each other and on each other. Mm-hmm. Just like the cell phone, the computer is just the device. And we are the source of its power and functionality. Oh, yeah. For now. Tell him, brother. Whomever is writing the information has the power and holds the responsibility. You couldn't clean off your desk? Oh, I was so happy when I did this. Like when I saw that it looked good. Oh, that was the spark. That was the spark that would be like, I could do this. This is fun. The pen is mightier than the sword. The next question would be, who's holding the pen? Or what is? Stay afraid and keep learning. Yeah. And that was that's how it went. And that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I had what was it? And that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be just kind of doing the educational videos, joining stuff with Vosh, not Vosh. What was it? Oh God, what was it? Vsauce. Mixing up my V's here. But yeah, I thought that was gonna be my go-to, which I mean, gosh, I continued it for such a long time, but now we're at this point where I wanted to get back into live stream because the worst part of all the stuff was just literally, I would almost say it was just the simple fact of, let's go ahead and get the music back. It was just the simple fact of filming. Oh God, I fucking hated filming. I hated it. The whole filming process and stuff like that. It was annoying just because I didn't see the process. I didn't see the outcome. Sitting at the desk and talking to the camera and me doing other stuff. Even when I started doing other things, as you would see in the video, it was just yeah, it was crazy. What was it? And of course, what was it? This is a little bit, this is for the YouTube people out here. For anyone who's trying to look for advice just to kind of, what was it? For advice just to see what you would need to do to grow, I think my top 5 things I would probably do is, first of all, I think at this point it's quantity. The quality will grow. Okay, trust the system of exposure. It's the equivalent of drawing. All right, but the problem is with YouTube, your sketch is your upload. It's just simple as that, and you have to keep it up there. That's the thing. There's no recourse onto it. You just have to upload it. That's the thing. So quantity is going to be your thing. All right. Upload as much as you possibly can. Okay. That's the thing. You might have certain parts where, it might be affecting, your daily work schedule or something like that. That's why, I'm very on and off with streaming right now, is just because, I still got a job on in the real world. So that's kind of what's been going on my end. Secondly, the biggest component on, what was it? Of what was it? I think don't die. What was it? There was something that this one YouTuber, I forgot who they were. What was it? Watch, I bet money. They immediately pop up. Yeah. Video influencers, or I think that was their channel. Yeah, video influencers and stuff like that. Is that what their thing is? No. What is the guy? What's the guy's thing? Either way. You'll get a lot of these people from Alpha Gaming to, what was it? Catherine Manning to, what was it? Yeah, Stream Scheme. All right. What was it? Epoch Vox or something like that. Oh yeah, Think Media. That's what it was. Think Media. Nick Nimmin. There's so many. Oh yeah. Ashley Christ. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that, first of all, I have to give kudos to, because they gave me so much of their advice. But I think from my end, what was it? Don't drown in it. I think there was, yeah, something from Think Media that they taught me was basically don't get lost in the sauce. All right, you gotta make this stuff. All right, it's the same thing of like I want to keep going back and forth with like drawing and stuff, comparing this stuff, just because I think like there's a lot of things that like I associate myself with drawing and art in general. Okay, so one thing that like keeps me thinking about it is that, okay, you can read all the books. You can watch all the tutorials and stuff like that, and it won't lend itself too much. You can definitely learn. You learn a lot from it, but you gotta draw. Okay, you gotta film, you gotta do the stuff to upload and stuff and find the thing. All right. Thirdly, what was it? I would say like equipment's not everything, but it's up to, like I think that's very subjective. I think it's very subjective. I think like this is mainly on the fact of like what are you comfortable with? All right, like how are you? Because like as a creative in my head, like people who follow this channel, I've changed this whole setup 5 different times, thousands of times. All right. So I'm very in and out with a bunch of stuff. So, but like I got this Canon, like, cause I wanted to get into photography beforehand. So I was already lucky enough to already have a nice camera and stuff. All right. But like equipment's not everything or something like that. I think the biggest part is audio. And like, if this is sounding like a broken record, it's because it's working. All right, there's a reason why there's cookie cutters for cookies, okay? Because people like those damn cookies, okay? If it's not broke, don't fix it. All right, you can improve upon it, but don't go buck wild on something, all right? And what was it? You don't overthink it. That's like a 4th one. Don't overthink this, okay? Don't treat every video as its own thing, okay? Treat everything as its own thing, day by day. All right, small. Think small. All right, don't like not microscopic. You're not looking up like into like the different details and stuff like that. Like, oh, this is the lighting right here and stuff like that. Because I'm guilty of this. I am 100% guilty. That's all me. Oh yeah, literally like I've changed my theme so many different times. All right, first I was a horror guy teaching education and stuff like that. Now I'm just a weird guy looking at Wikipedia stuff because it's fun. All right, I am a learner. I learn by doing a bunch of stuff, and that's kind of like that's like the best way for me to learn that way. Okay. The 5th, I would probably say like the 5th, and like I'm kind of thinking this on the go here. The 5th, the most important thing, and again, the reason why all of this stuff you hear from the Harris Heller, right, the Stream Scheme and stuff like that, a lot of these influencers and stuff like that, they talk about do what you love. It really is that. Like, it is a comfort. That is your foundation. Comfort. All right, that is what you want to do, okay? What are you comfortable with? Are you a very social person and you want to try to invite people on your show and just talk to them and see what happens and stuff like that? Do that. All right. We have Discord, Skype, Zoom that you can invite people in and have fun and just see what that's about. Do you want to try to get a team together and hang out and like you just want to find time to hang out with your friends and see what this? That's what it is. Okay. Don't treat it more as a hobby first. And then if it starts capitalizing, then do it like that. I think that's the thing. You are missing, what was it? You're missing the trees for the forest. Honestly. Like, you're not appreciating just the joy of what you want to do with this. Like playing a video game and then uploading the highlights. Or if you're wanting to do a show, all right? Tips from someone that's actually like, what was it? That's been doing something that's not gaming. All right. Audio is going to be your biggest component. You don't have to worry about a lot on resolution. Okay. You are just mainly talking about more on performance, and it's a little bit of intimidating. It's intimidating. I would say, like, just for some side stuff for like Twitch and stuff like that, there's not too much friendliness on what, like, for me, I'm doing educational stuff, and for categories there's not really specific. There's tags, but you know, that's about it. And so like that's about as far as you can go and see like where that's all going. So yeah, I think like, and like, you know, I still have so much to learn. Goodness, I'm just like, if anything, I feel like, you know, a lot of those big streamers, they're always talking to maybe like those 1,000 subscriber people, 500 subscriber people. Just like, I want to talk to you guys. All right, the girls and gals and MBs that only have 0. You haven't started. All right, it's just take a jump. Go right into it. Don't be scared of it. All right. There's a lot of like, there's going to be already a lot of advice. So, you know, I'm not going to try to take their thunder. All right. They're professional. Okay. They understand the equipment. They understand all of that. All right. For me to dive into my equipment, it's all scattery. All right. So I would rather you just get a nice, like the good generic and like the people who know their stuff. I'm just giving you my perspective from someone who has 100 subscribers and stuff. I'm just at the top of a little hill, and I don't even know if I want to aim for mountaintops. Okay, that's just, yeah, that's the whole thing. But fuck, I still got to point that out, huh, guys? Look at that, guys, gals. I'm super happy, and for you, people who are watching live on Twitch and on YouTube, like I couldn't have. Like it's so much fun just to see all the crazy stuff that we're going to be talking about and stuff in the future, things that we're going to be seeing. Oh, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. All right, we're going to get into a lot more shenanigans and stuff. But now, today, we're going to dive into our topics for today. And that is going to be coffee versus tea. What's up, Snuggie? Yeah, Snuggie's one of the OGs here. And yeah. What's up, Snuggie? We're about to start. I'm going to start up on the deep dive of coffee and tea. I got a nice little coffee liquor here by Rebel. Not too bad. Pretty good stuff. How's the stream on your end? I know that it kind of goes in and out. At least on like, am I sounding pretty good? Am I looking pretty good? All right. So I say we just dive. We got to dive right into this. That's what I think. Let's go ahead and learn. Let's learn about some shit. How about that? See, now that's interesting because when I go back to here, I start losing frames. Oh, hold up. I figured it out. Booyah, we should be running smooth now. Hey, here we go. All right, we're in it. We're in it to win it, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. So yes, we're going to be talking about coffee today. Oh, and wait a minute. We're only going to be talking about coffee? No, we're going to be talking about tea too. All right, what is the tea? What is the coffee? All right, this is what I want to dive into these, and like I want to figure out like what's better. I would probably say coffee. Like coffee is like, I would say like, you know, the fan favorite, but I think tea might be like, what was it? Like tea might be like what you get on the side. Like, no, what am I trying to say here? Coffee is more common. I would say tea is better for you. I think that would be like a better way to go about it. But let's go ahead and see what the hell we have here. All right. Let's see the difference. Let's try to compare the two and stuff like that. And let's see. I want to like almost know like if they have hybrids. Ooh, that'd be kind of cool. Let's go ahead. You already know, students. Brian, please tell us what we're about to dive into.
Coffee. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Coffee is a brewed drink prepared from roasted coffee beans, the seeds of berries from certain coffea species. From the coffee fruit, the seeds are separated to produce a stable, raw product, unroasted green coffee. The seeds are then roasted, a process which transforms them into a consumable product, roasted coffee, which is ground into a powder and typically steeped in hot water before being filtered out, producing a cup of coffee.
Now, the way that I usually drink coffee, because I used to drink coffee through just like, your generic normal filter. Now, what was it? I got into French press. I've noticed the difference. I think I think it might be very subjective. I don't like that. That'll be something too that we have to look into, like the quality of coffee. That'd be kind of cool.
Coffee is darkly colored, bitter, slightly acidic and has a stimulating effect in humans, primarily due to its caffeine content. It is one of the most popular drinks in the world, and can be prepared and presented in a variety of ways, e.g., espresso, French press, cafe latte, or already brewed canned coffee. It is usually served hot, although chilled or iced coffee is common. Sugar substitutes, milk or cream are often used to lessen the bitter taste. It may be served with coffee cake or another sweet dessert like donuts. A commercial establishment that sells prepared coffee beverages is known as a coffee shop, not to be confused with Dutch coffee shops selling cannabis.
I'm sorry, what? Coffee shop. The Netherlands coffee shop are established where they sell cannabis for personal consumption by the public? What? It's tolerated by the locals. Oh, well then. Duly noted. May have to get a ticket to the Dutch sometime soon.
Clinical research indicates that moderate coffee consumption is benign or mildly beneficial as a stimulant in healthy adults, with continuing research on whether long-term consumption reduces the risk of some diseases, although some of the long-term studies are of questionable credibility. The earliest credible evidence of coffee drinking as the modern beverage appears in modern-day Yemen from the middle of the 15th century in Sufi shrines, where coffee seeds were first roasted and brewed in a manner similar to how it is now prepared for drinking. The Yemenis procured coffee beans from the Ethiopian highlands via coastal Somali intermediaries, and began cultivation. By the 16th century, the drink had reached the rest of the Middle East and North Africa, later spreading to Europe.
Thank you, Africa, for coffee. Holy shit. Sorry, I like kind of dozed out on this first paragraph here. Let me see what this is
Clinical
about.
research indicates that moderate coffee consumption is benign or mildly beneficial as a stimulant in healthy adults, with continuing research on whether long-term consumption reduces the risk of some diseases, although some of the long-term studies are of questionable credibility.
Okay. I know there's like a lot of talk about just like there might be beneficial stuff with like coffee. I don't know. It could be something. I don't see why not. Let's see here. Yippity-bap-bap-pow. I mean, yeah, it could be something. All right, let's see here. Two most common.
The two most commonly grown coffee bean types are C. arabica and C. robusta. Coffee plants are cultivated in over 70 countries, primarily in the equatorial regions of the Americas, Southeast Asia, the Indian subcontinent, and Africa.
I feel like there's a big correlation with coffee, like random throw out, but I think there's a big correlation with like coffee and cigars. I think like how very popular the cigars are made. I would assume so. Like it may be quite beneficial onto it, but like it all depends. Let's see here. America, Southeast Asia, India, subcontinent, and Africa.
As of 2018, Brazil was the leading grower of coffee beans, producing 35% of the world total.
Oh, shit.
Coffee is a major export commodity as the leading legal agricultural export for numerous countries. It is one of the most valuable commodities exported by developing countries. Green, unroasted coffee is the most traded agricultural commodity, and the coffee trade is the most traded commodity second only to petroleum. Despite the sales of coffee reaching billions of dollars, those actually producing the beans are disproportionately living in poverty. Critics also point to the coffee industry's negative impact on the environment and the clearing of land for coffee growing and water use. The environmental costs and wage disparity of farmers is causing the market for fair trade and organic coffee to expand.
Fair trade coffee. Oh. Let's hold on to that. And then fair trade and organic coffee to expand. Okay, cool.
Etymology. The word coffee entered the English language in 1582 via the Dutch coffee, borrowed from the Ottoman Turkish kahva, borrowed in turn from the Arabic kahwa. The Arabic word kahwa was traditionally held to refer to a type of wine whose etymology is given by Arab lexicographers as deriving from the verb ka'ir, to lack hunger, in reference to the drink's reputation as an appetite suppressant. The term coffee pot dates from 1705. The expression coffee break was first attested in 1952. History. Main article.
That's big. Yeah, I can see that. Just because, like, what was it? There's a whole lot of people trying to like smoking coffee breaks and stuff like that. Totally. Yeah. All right.
History. Main article. History of coffee. Legendary accounts.
Ooh.
According to one legend, ancestors of today's Oromo people in a region of Kofu in Ethiopia were the first to recognize the energizing effect of the coffee plant. However, no direct evidence that has been found earlier than the 15th century indicating who among the African populations used it as a stimulant, or where coffee was first cultivated. The story of Kolgi, the 9th century Ethiopian goatherd who discovered coffee when he noticed how excited his goats became after eating the beans from the coffee plant, did not appear in writing until 1671 and is probably apocryphal.
Huh. No wonder you go up and you go just like, what are you doing? Bah! And they like pass out. They pass out like that. I couldn't imagine that. They go in there. They go in there like they were so excited they were scaring the shit out of each other. Half my flock was just passed out like, ah. I couldn't imagine that. All right. So let's see here. Let's get back to it. I wonder, like, should we dive into that? I mean, like, what's up? What's the history of cafe looking like? I mean, coffee in Europe. I mean, we're kind of getting like the historical transmission. Okay. You know what? Like, we'll stick to this because we might be driving off into some other bits into other here, but let's continue.
Legendary accounts. According to one legend, ancestors of today's Oromo people in a region of Kofu in Ethiopia were the first to recognize the energizing effect of the coffee plant. However, no direct evidence that has been found earlier than the 15th century indicating who among the African populations used it as a stimulant, or where coffee was first cultivated. The story of Kolgi, the 9th century Ethiopian goatherd who discovered coffee when he noticed how excited his goats became after eating the beans from the coffee plant, did not appear in writing until 1671 and is probably apocryphal. Another legend attributes the discovery of coffee to a Sheikh Omar. According to an old chronicle, preserved in the Abd al-Qadir manuscript, Omar, who was known for his ability to cure sick through prayer, was once exiled from Mocha in Yemen to a desert cave near Uzab, modern-day Wasab, about 90 kilometers, 56 miles, east of Zubayd. Starving, Omar chewed berries from nearby shrubbery but found them to be too bitter. He tried roasting the seeds to improve the flavor, but they became hard. He then tried boiling them to soften the seed, which resulted in a fragrant brown liquid. Upon drinking the liquid, Omar was revitalized and sustained for days. As stories of this miracle drug reached Mocha, Omar was asked to return and was made a saint. Historical transmission. The earliest credible evidence of coffee drinking or...
Damn. That's how shitty people were back then. Just like, no, you get the fuck on out of here. Okay? We do not need you here. Just like, what? It's like, yeah, we do not need you here. Sorry. I'm readjusting some stuff here. So no, we don't need you here. All right, you get the hell up out of here. All right, how dare you? Yeah, no, what was he? For ability. Through player once exiled. Yeah. So, literally, you get exiled from healing people, and it's just like, motherfucker, get the fuck out of here. Are you praying for people trying to heal them? No. He's a jackass. Get out of here. Just like, damn it. My dude finds coffee, gets it together, comes back to the city as a miracle drug, straight up. And it's just like, damn. Dude, I can go for like days right now, but I'm just like, I'm surprised he didn't get like caught for like trying to like murder somebody, because as soon as they get that acid reflux from coffee, people start shitting themselves. Like, you fucking poisoned us. I couldn't imagine that. Maybe. A miracle drug. How wild that must have been for those people, just to like, for like the first people to get coffee. It must have been like, oh God, it must have been cocaine at that point.
Historical transmission. The earliest credible evidence of coffee drinking or knowledge of the coffee tree appears in the middle of the 15th century in the accounts of Ahmed al-Ghafar in Yemen. It was here in Arabia that coffee seeds were first roasted and brewed, in a similar way to how it is prepared now. Coffee was used by Sufi circles to stay awake for their religious rituals. Accounts differ on the origin of the coffee plant prior to its appearance in Yemen. From Ethiopia, coffee could have been introduced to Yemen via trade across the Red Sea. One account credits Muhammad ibn Sa'd for bringing the beverage to Aden from the African coast. Other early accounts say Ali ben Omar of the Shodili Sufi order was the first to introduce coffee to Arabia. According to al-Shadi, Ali ben Omar may have encountered coffee during his stay with the Adil king Sadaddin's companions in 1401. Famous 16th century Islamic scholar Ibn Hajjaj al-Haytami notes in his writings of a beverage called kahwa developed from a tree in the Zila region. Coffee was first exported out of Ethiopia to Yemen by Somali merchants from Berbera and Zila in modern-day Somaliland, which was procured from Hara and the Abyssinian interior. According to Captain Haynes, who was the colonial administrator of Aden, 1839-1854, Mocha historically imported up to 2/3 of their coffee from Berbera-based merchants before the coffee trade of Mocha was captured by British-controlled Aden in the 19th century. Thereafter, much of the Ethiopian coffee was exported to Aden via Berbera. Berbera not only supplies Aden with horned cattle and sheep to a very large extent, but the trade between Africa and Aden is steadily increasing greatly every year. In the article of coffee alone there is considerable export, and Berbera coffee stands in the Bombay market now before Mocha. The coffee shipped at Berbera comes from far in the interior from Harar, Abyssinia, and Kaffa. It will be to the advantage of all that the trade should come to Aden through one port, and Berbera is the only place on the coast there that has a protected port, where vessels can lie in smooth water. By the 16th century, coffee had reached the rest of the Middle East, Persia, Turkey, and northern Africa. The first coffee seeds were smuggled out of the Middle East by Sufi Baba Budan from Yemen to the Indian subcontinent during the time. Before then, all exported coffee was boiled or otherwise sterilized. Portraits of Baba Budan depict him as having smuggled 7 coffee seeds by strapping them to his chest. The first plants grown from these smuggled seeds were planted in Mysore. Coffee had spread to Italy by 1600, and then to the rest of Europe, Indonesia, and the Americas. In 1583, Leonhard Rowohlf, a German physician, gave this description of coffee after returning from a 10-year trip to the Near East. A beverage as black as ink, useful against numerous illnesses, particularly those of the stomach. Its consumers take it in the morning, quite frankly, in a porcelain cup that is passed around and from which each one drinks a cupful. It is composed of water and the fruit from a bush called bunyu. Leonhard Rowohlf, Reise in die Morgenlande, in German. The thriving trade between Venice and North Africa, Egypt, and the Middle East, back then Ottoman Empire, brought many goods, including coffee, to the Venetian port. From Venice, it was introduced to the rest of Europe. Coffee became more widely accepted after it was deemed a Christian beverage by Pope Clement VIII in 1600, despite appeals to ban the Muslim drink. The first European coffee house opened in Rome in 1645.
Oh, fuck that. I couldn't imagine that. It was like, no, please. It's like, we shall ban all Muslim drinks from the great Pope. For this is a place of cleanliness, blah. All right, please, after we get done burning more people and places, instead of converting people for Christianity. Ooh, Jake had a cake, welcome. We're talking about coffee and tea. And turns out the Christian faith loved coffee, but also they banned a lot of other Muslim drinks, even though literally coffee was like the OG Muslim drink. It's fucking hilarious. It's like, no. It's like, no, please, sir. Please, sir, have this drink. It's like, fine. Holy shit. All right, we must invade. Invade them. I need more coffee. Damn it. Jake had a cake. You have a request, please. What's up? As a knight from the realm. Please, please, please. You have an interesting article or something we want to look up for coffee specific? Please. Bring it on in. Come on. As we continue to learn about the history here.
The Dutch East India Company was the first to import coffee on a large scale. The Dutch later grew the crop in Java and Ceylon. The first exports of Indonesian coffee from Java to the Netherlands occurred in 1711. Through the efforts of the British East India Company, coffee became popular in England as well. John Evelyn recorded tasting the drink at Oxford in England in a diary entry of May 1637 to where it had been brought by a student at Balliol College from Crete named Nathaniel Conopios of Crete. Oxford's Queen's Lane Coffee House, established in 1654, is still in existence today. Coffee was introduced in France in 1657, and in Austria and Poland after the 1683 Battle of Vienna, when coffee was captured from supplies of the defeated Turks. When coffee reached North America during the colonial period, it was initially not as successful as it had been in Europe as alcoholic beverages remained more popular.
Of course, I mean... Ah, man, that's gotta be crazy, though. Yeah, it's a bunch of downers. It's like, nah. I'd like to see you unveil behind your cardigan thing. You want to see me unveiled? You're gonna have to check out the previous streams for that, good sir. All right, that's for. I feel like we'll make the peasants more and more close to you. and what is that you do? I feel like it will make the peasants much more close to you and feel that it is what you do. What? Well, you remember I told you about wearing the silly polo neck? It's just whatever I have on. This is the comfort wear. This will work. Trust me. It is getting pretty hot. I might actually take it off in a bit. We'll finish the actual history bit, and then we'll get back into it. All right.
When coffee reached North America during the colonial period, it was initially not as successful as it had been in Europe as alcoholic beverages remained more popular. During the Revolutionary War, the demand for coffee increased so much that dealers had to hoard their scarce supplies and raise prices dramatically. This was also due to the reduced availability of tea from British merchants, and a general resolution among many Americans to avoid drinking tea following the 1773 Boston Tea Party. After the War of 1812, during which Britain temporarily cut off access to tea imports, the Americans' taste for coffee grew. During the 18th century, coffee consumption declined in England, giving way to tea drinking. The latter beverage was simpler to make, and had become cheaper with the British conquest of India and the tea industry there. During the Age of Sail, seamen aboard ships of the British Royal Navy made substitute coffee by dissolving burnt bread in hot water. The Frenchman Gabriel de Gliou took a coffee plant to the French territory of Martinique in the Caribbean in the 1720s, from which much of the world's cultivated Arabica coffee is descended. Coffee thrived in the climate and was conveyed across the Americas. Coffee was cultivated in Saint-Domingue, now Haiti, from 1734, and by 1788 it supplied half the world's coffee. The conditions that the slaves worked in on coffee plantations were a factor in the soon-to-follow Haitian Revolution. The coffee industry never fully recovered there. It made a brief comeback in 1949 when Haiti was the world's third-largest coffee exporter, but declined rapidly after that. Meanwhile, coffee had been introduced to Brazil in 1727, although its cultivation did not gather momentum until independence in 1822. After this time, massive tracts of rainforest were cleared for coffee plantations, first in the vicinity of Rio de Janeiro and later Sao Paulo. Brazil went from having essentially no coffee exports in 1800, to being a significant regional producer in 1830, to being the largest producer in the world by 1852. In 1910-20,
it's growing like Amazon, shit.
In 1910-20, Brazil exported around 70% of the world's coffee. Colombia, Guatemala, and Venezuela exported half of the remaining 30%, and Old World production accounted for less than 5% of world exports.
Ooh.
Cultivation was taken up by many countries in Central America in the latter half of the 19th century, and almost all involved the large-scale displacement and exploitation of the indigenous people. Harsh conditions led to many uprisings, coups and bloody suppression of peasants. The notable exception was Costa Rica, where lack of ready labor prevented the formation of large farms. Smaller farms and more egalitarian conditions ameliorated unrest over the 19th and 20th centuries. Rapid growth in coffee production in South America during the second half of the 19th century was matched by growth in consumption in developed countries, though nowhere has this growth been as pronounced as in the United States, where a high rate of population growth was compounded by doubling of per capita consumption between 1860 and 1920. Though the United States was not the heaviest coffee drinking nation at the time, Nordic countries, Belgium, and Netherlands all had comparable or higher levels of per capita consumption. Due to its sheer size, it was already the largest consumer of coffee in the world by 1860, and, by 1920, around half of all coffee produced worldwide was consumed in the US. Coffee has become a vital cash crop for many developing countries. Over 100 million people in developing countries have become dependent on coffee as their primary source of income. It has become the primary export and backbone for African countries like Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, and Ethiopia, as well as many Central American countries.
Oh yeah, Brian's voice is real good. I love Brian's voice. Brian's voice is, ooh, so nice. This is wild though. So many wars. Like wars started through coffee and tea, which is some wild shit. I never thought that through trading and just pure consumption starts wars. It's just like back in the day, wars were started on so many, just through supplies, of course, through capitalist means, of course, but still, there was some wild shit on just how they still continued, and it was very still Central America, Rwanda, Ethiopia. So primary exports has become the primary backbone export and backbone for African countries like Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda. Okay. Vital cash crop. And of course, no matter what, this is all gonna be just for the people to just continue to push forward. But that's fucking wild. Alrighty. I want to see we're gonna dive into the biology of it now and see how the fuck some of this stuff gets pushed into it. The biology of cafefe.
Biology. Main articles: coffee and coffee varieties. Several species of shrub of the genus Coffea produce the berries from which coffee is extracted. The two main species commercially.
So it's berries and it's the seeds of the berries. I'm totally rushing this, but
the two main species commercially cultivated are Coffea canephora, predominantly a form known as Robusta, and C. arabica. C. arabica, the most highly regarded species, is native to the southwestern highlands of Ethiopia and the Boma Plateau in southeastern Sudan and Mount Marsabit in northern Kenya. C. canephora is native to western and central sub-Saharan Africa, from Guinea to Uganda and southern Sudan. Less popular species are C. librica, C. stenophylla, C. mauritiana, and C. racemosa.
Those are probably the ones that involve the animals eating it and shitting it. I wonder how many brands are involved with that. Just either it's guano, or it's fucking dung from a fucking elephant or some shit and stuff, or this one was digested from a hyena and the hyena was killed, and then that was fucking eaten by a lion, and then the lion was shot, and then the dude ate the lion, digested, and the seed still hasn't been fully digested, so it's all, and then it's been shitted out of a plane, shot down as a meteor, landed, and then it was mined. That is what our coffee is. Then we get that single bean. You take a sip of it and it just tastes like absolute shit. It's fucking wild. All right, but let's get back into it on all these C variants of cafefe.
All coffee plants are classified in the large family Rubiaceae. They are evergreen shrubs or trees that may grow 5 meters, 15 feet, tall when unpruned. The leaves are dark green and glossy, usually 10, 15 centimeters, 4, 6 in, long and 6 centimeters, 2.4 in, wide, simple, entire, and opposite. Petioles of opposite leaves fuse at the base to form interpetiolar stipules, characteristic of Rubiaceae. The flowers are...
Oh yes, Jake had a cake. This is all a joke. Everything's a joke.
The flowers are axillary, and clusters of fragrant white flowers bloom simultaneously. Gynoecium consists of an inferior ovary, also characteristic of Rubiaceae. The flowers are followed by oval berries of about 1.5 centimeters, 0.6 in. When immature they are green, and they ripen to yellow, then crimson, before turning black on drying. Each berry usually contains 2 seeds, but 5–10% of the berries have only one. These are called pea berries. Arabica berries ripen in 6 to 8 months, while Robusta takes 9 to 11 months. Coffee Arabica is predominantly self-pollinating, and as a result, the seedlings are generally uniform and vary little from their parents. In contrast, Coffea conifera and Celebrica are self-incompatible and require outcrossing. This means that useful forms and hybrids must be propagated vegetatively. Cuttings.
Well, I didn't shoot the lion. The person that shot the lion shit out of an airplane. You know how like airplanes, they drop like whole chunks of shit out of them and the meteor drops and stuff like that. That's what, yeah, you're ruining the joke because I have to explain it now, but you get it.
Cuttings, grafting, and budding are the usual methods of This means that useful forms and hybrids must be propagated vegetatively. Cuttings, grafting, and budding are the usual methods of vegetative propagation. On the other hand, there is great scope for experimentation in search of potential new strains.
I love how like new strains, as in like different kinds of like coffee, but like, no, this is fucking indica coffee, dude. This is fucking indica coffee, my dude. They're fucking hilarious.
In 2016, Oregon State University entomologist George Poinar Jr. announced the discovery of a new plant species which is a 45-million-year-old relative of coffee found in amber. Named Strychnos electri, after the Greek word for amber, electron, the flowers represent the first ever fossils of an asterid, which is a clade of flowering plants that not only later gave us coffee, but also sunflowers, peppers, potatoes, mint, and deadly poisons. Cultivation. Further information, list of countries by coffee production. The traditional method of planting coffee is to place 20 seeds in each hole at the beginning of the rainy season. This method loses about 50% of the seed's potential, as about half fail to sprout. A more effective process of growing coffee, used in Brazil, is to raise seedlings in nurseries that are then planted outside at 6 to 12 months. Coffee is often intercropped with food crops, such as corn, beans, or rice during the first few years of cultivation as farmers become familiar with its requirements. Coffee plants grow within a defined area between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, termed the bean belt or coffee belt. Of the two main species grown, Arabica coffee, from C. arabica, is generally more highly regarded than Robusta coffee, from C. conifera. Robusta coffee tends to be bitter and have less flavor but better body than Arabica. For these reasons, about 3/4 of coffee cultivated worldwide is C. arabica. Robusta strains also contain about 40–50% more caffeine than Arabica. Consequently, this species is used as an inexpensive substitute for Arabica in many commercial coffee blends. Good quality Robusta beans are used in traditional Italian espresso blends to provide a full-bodied taste and a better foam head, known as crema. Additionally, Coffea conifera is less susceptible to disease than C. arabica and can be cultivated in lower altitudes and warmer climates where C. arabica will not thrive. The Robusta strain was first collected in 1890 from the Lamani River, a tributary of the Congo River, and was conveyed from the Congo Free State, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, to Brussels to Java around 1900. From Java, further breeding resulted in the establishment of Robusta plantations in many countries. In particular, the spread of the devastating coffee leaf rust, Hemilevus tatrix, to which C. arabica is vulnerable, hastened the uptake of the resistant Robusta. Hemilevus tatrix is a fungal pathogen and results in light, rust-colored spots on the undersides of coffee plant leaves. Hemilevus tatrix grows exclusively on the leaves of coffee plants. Coffee leaf rust is found in virtually all countries that produce coffee. Mycenae citricula is an
coffee pants? I think they meant plants, but sure. Sure.
Mycenae citricula is another threat to coffee plants, primarily in Latin America. Mycenae citricula, commonly referred to as American leaf spot, is a fungus that can affect the whole coffee plant. It can grow on leaves, resulting in leaves with holes that often fall from the plant. Over 900 species of insect have been recorded as pests of coffee crops worldwide. Of these, over a third are beetles, and over a quarter are bugs. Some 20 species of nematodes, 9 species of mites, and several snails and slugs also attack the crop. Birds and rodents sometimes eat coffee berries, but their impact is minor compared to invertebrates. In general, Arabica is the more sensitive species to invertebrate predation overall. Each part of the coffee plant is assailed by different animals. Nematodes attack the roots, coffee borer beetles burrow into stems and woody material, and the foliage is attacked by over 100 species of larvae, caterpillars, of butterflies and moths. Mass spraying of insecticides has often proven disastrous, as predators of the pests are more sensitive than the pests themselves.
Oh shit, this is what it looks like. Cool.
Mass spraying of insecticides has often proven disastrous, as predators of the pests are more sensitive than the pests themselves. Instead, integrated pest management has developed, using techniques such as targeted treatment of pest outbreaks, and managing crop environment away from conditions favoring pests. Branches infested with scale are often cut and left on the ground, which promotes scale parasites to not only attack the scale on the fallen branches but in the plant as well. The 2 mm long coffee borer beetle, Hypothenemus hampei, is the most damaging insect pest to the world's coffee industry, destroying up to 50% or more of the coffee berries on plantations in most coffee-producing countries. The adult female beetle nibbles a single tiny hole in a coffee berry and lays 35 to 50 eggs. Inside, the offspring grow, mate, and then emerge from the commercially ruined berry to disperse, repeating the cycle. Pesticides are mostly ineffective because the beetle juveniles are protected inside the berry nurseries, but they are vulnerable to predation by birds when they emerge. When groves of trees are nearby, the American yellow warbler, rufous-capped warbler, and other insectivorous birds have been shown to reduce by 50% the number of coffee berry borers in Costa Rica coffee plantations. Beans from different countries or regions can usually be distinguished by differences in flavor, aroma, body, and acidity. These taste characteristics are dependent not only on the coffee's growing region, but also on genetic subspecies, varietals, and processing. Varietals are generally known by the region in which they are grown, such as Colombian, Java, and Kona. Arabica coffee beans are cultivated mainly in Latin America, Eastern Africa or Asia, while Robusta beans are grown in Central Africa, throughout Southeast Asia, and Brazil. Ecological effects. Originally, coffee farming was done in the shade of trees that provided a habitat for many animals and insects. Remnant forest trees were used for this purpose, but many species have been planted as well. These include leguminous trees of the genera Acacia, Albizia, Cassia, Erythrina, Gliricidia, Inga, and Lucina, as well as the nitrogen-fixing non-legume she oaks of the genus Casuarina, and the silky oak Grevillea robusta. This method is commonly referred to as the traditional shaded method, or shade-grown. Starting in the 1970s, many farmers switched their production method to sun cultivation, in which coffee is grown in rows under full sun with little or no forest canopy. This causes berries to ripen more rapidly and bushes to produce higher yields, but requires the clearing of trees and increased use of fertilizer and pesticides, which damage the environment and cause health problems. Unshaded coffee plants grown with fertilizer yield the most coffee, although unfertilized shaded crops generally yield more than unfertilized unshaded crops. The response to fertilizer is much greater in full sun. While traditional coffee production causes berries to ripen more slowly and produce slower yields, the quality of the coffee is allegedly superior. In addition, the traditional shaded method provides living space for many wildlife species. Proponents of shade cultivation say environmental problems such as deforestation, pesticide pollution, habitat destruction, and soil and water degradation are the side effects of the practices employed in sun cultivation. The American Birding Association, Smithsonian Migratory Bird Center, National Arbor Day Foundation, and the Rainforest Alliance have led a campaign for shade-grown and organic coffees, which can be sustainably harvested. Shaded coffee cultivation systems show greater biodiversity than full sun systems, and those more distant from continuous forest compare rather poorly to undisturbed native forest in terms of habitat value for some bird species. Coffee production uses a large volume of water. On average it takes about 140 liters, 37 US gal, of water to grow the coffee beans needed to produce 1 cup of coffee.
Hold up. Let me try to figure out what's up with Nightbot. I don't know why. I don't know why I had to ban you like that. Just had to be a little bit more careful, at least with like these raids and shit like that's been happening. Let's see here. What if I could do like a quick change? If not, okay, here we go. Repeat words or phrases. Okay. Lots of spamming going on here. Of course it is. Only good spamming though. Cool. All right, we should be good now. I'm gonna skip on. I'm gonna skip on into the production, the trees and stuff like that talk. It was kind of like a little sleepy.
Production. Main article, coffee production. In 2020, world production of green coffee beans was 175,647,060 kilograms bags, led by Brazil with 39% of the total. Table. Vietnam, Indonesia, and Colombia were other major producers. Processing. Coffee berries and...
Oh, wait. These are the top? These are the top ones here. Brazil, Vietnam, Indonesia, Colombia, Ethiopia, Honduras, and India. Whew. In Brazil, taking a third of that. Hot damn. That's some good stuff. Okay, students, would you consider caffeine to be a brutal drug? Is it something that should be like regulated? Is it something that's like really brutal? Like, because like, you know, okay, both of these drinks that we're going to be talking about with coffee and tea, that's going to be no immediately. All right. No. I would agree. Like, I would agree on very much that. I think there is addictive qualities. No, caffeine is a natural drug. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, so is weed, but that like doesn't mean that like it doesn't have negative components. Do you think there's negative components like to it? Do you think there should be regulation to caffeine? But so is tobacco. Exactly. Like, so like, but I guess like that's another thing too. Like smoking tobacco, that's gonna be bad for the lungs and stuff like that. So it's like, I guess like you take it in stride. I think like, especially like smoking weed, there's limitations to it. What was it? Smoking tobacco and getting that shit in your lungs and stuff like that. Benjamin Cho, thank you. Hey, welcome. Welcome. We're learning about coffee and talking about it and stuff like that. It's your body. Use it. Yeah, true. It's valid stuff. Just don't take meth. It's like, oh yes, oh, what a good idea. Let's put it in place for more fucking regulations. Why no meth? I mean, if anything, let's just get rid of all the downer drugs. Okay? Alcohol, weed. All right, I don't give a shit what people say about like indica and sativa and stuff. I think like let's just get all the uppers. Everyone just get up. I think that's how the pyramids were made. Honestly. Let's do all the caffeine and stuff like that. Meth is a man. Jesus is my drug. There you go. Meth is a man. Made product that contains shit that's bad for you. Very true. No free speech here. Watch what you say. Hold up. I'm gonna have to get. We're gonna be. We're learning. What was it? All my regulated stuff. Like we're figuring it out. Let's see here. You know, we're trying to figure out all this mumbo jumbo with the language and stuff. You know how it goes. Let's see here. Commercial winners. Where is it? Where can I change my stuff? Okay, here we go. I think we can have shit. I'm okay with it. There we go. All right, there we go. Let's continue on with the processing.
Processing. Coffee berries and their seeds undergo several processes before they become the familiar roasted coffee. Berries have been traditionally selectively picked by hand, a labor-intensive method. It involves the selection of
Space Cat is always a sarcastic person. I wouldn't let it get to you.
Berries have been traditionally selectively picked by hand, a labor-intensive method. It involves the selection of only the berries at the peak of ripeness. More commonly, crops are strip-picked, where all berries are harvested simultaneously regardless of ripeness by person or machine. After picking, green coffee is processed by one of two types of method: a dry process type of method, which is often simpler and less labor-intensive, and a wet process type of method, which incorporates batch fermentation, uses larger amounts of water in the process, and often yields a milder coffee. Then they are sorted by ripeness and color, and most often the flesh of the berry is removed, usually by machine, and the seeds are fermented to remove the slimy layer of mucilage still present on the seed. When the fermentation is finished, the seeds are washed with large quantities of fresh water to remove the fermentation residue, which generates massive amounts of coffee wastewater. Finally, the seeds are dried. The best, but least used, method of drying coffee is using drying tables. In this method, the pulped and fermented coffee is spread thinly on raised beds, which allows the air to pass on all sides of the coffee, and then the coffee is mixed by hand. In this method, the drying that takes place is more uniform, and fermentation is less likely. Most African coffee is dried in this manner, and certain coffee farms around the world are starting to use this traditional method. Next, the coffee is sorted, and labeled as green coffee. Some companies use cylinders to pump in heated air to dry the coffee seeds, though this is generally in places where the humidity is very high. An Asian coffee.
Yeah, I love Jesus' cardboard tastes and wafer textures. Like, and that grape juice and flavored blood. You gotta love it.
An Asian coffee known as Kopi Luwak undergoes a peculiar process made from coffee berries eaten by the Asian palm civet, passing through its digestive tract, with the beans eventually harvested from feces. Coffee brewed from this process is among the most
Poop coffee. It's already shown right here. Hot damn.
Coffee brewed from this process is among the most expensive in the world, with bean prices reaching $160 per pound or $30 per brewed cup. Kopi Luwak coffee is said to have uniquely rich, slightly smoky aroma and flavor with hints of chocolate, resulting from the action of digestive enzymes breaking down bean proteins to facilitate partial fermentation. In Thailand, black ivory coffee beans are fed to elephants whose digestive enzymes reduce the bitter taste of beans collected from dung. These beans sell for up to $1,100 a kilogram, $500 per pound, achieving the world's most expensive coffee, 3 times costlier than palm civet coffee beans.
That is fucking ridiculous. You're telling me that an elephant shits are worth 11, like, how do you, so what, do you filter out, do you wash off the beans, I guess? Are they eaten whole or are they already ground? I don't know. That's a lot. And I mean, I guess like, yeah, coffee does make you shit. But I mean, couldn't imagine that. 3 times costlier than palm civet coffee beans. That's wild.
Roasting. Main article, coffee roasting. The next step in the process is the roasting of the green coffee. Coffee is usually...
They say Jesus exists? Eh?
Coffee is usually sold in a roasted state, and with rare exceptions, such as infusions from green coffee beans, coffee is roasted before it is consumed. It can be sold roasted by the supplier, or it can be home roasted.
I bet money. Bet and booties. First thing I do in the morning, have a smoking coffee. It's guaranteed poo. True onto that. What was it? When I used to smoke. Oh, good looking out, Space Cat. But yeah, good smoke and a coffee. 2 stimulants right there. Get your day started. Granted, I'm glad I'm done. I'm glad I'm done smoking, but there was a day when my mornings start off like that, and it was right after you got done eating a breakfast. That was like the best time. That was the best time. Like going on the porch. All right, I don't condone smoking, but when I did, I got done eating a huge ass breakfast, always greasy. And then I had 2 cigarettes and a coffee. That was good. It's good. Glad I'm done with it now. Now I just have the greasy breakfast and coffee and 2 coffees.
It can be sold roasted by the supplier, or it can be home roasted. The roasting process. The next step in the process is the roasting of the green coffee. Coffee is usually sold in a roasted state, and with rare exceptions, such as infusions from green coffee beans, coffee is roasted before it is consumed. It can be sold roasted by the supplier, or it can be home roasted. The roasting process influences the taste of the beverage by changing the coffee bean both physically and chemically. The bean decreases in weight as moisture is lost and increases in volume, causing it to become less dense. The density of the bean also influences the strength of the coffee and requirements for packaging. The actual roasting begins when the temperature inside the bean reaches approximately 200 degrees Celsius, 392 degrees Fahrenheit, though different varieties of seeds differ in moisture and density and therefore roast at different rates. During roasting, caramelization occurs as intense heat breaks down starches, changing them to simple sugars that begin to brown, which alters the color of the bean. Sucrose is rapidly lost during the roasting process, and may disappear entirely in darker roasts. During roasting, aromatic oils and acids weaken, changing the flavor. At 205 degrees Celsius, 401 degrees Fahrenheit, other oils start to develop. One of these oils, caffeol, is created at about 200 degrees Celsius, 392 degrees Fahrenheit, which is largely responsible for coffee's aroma and flavor. Roasting is the last step of processing the beans in their intact state. During this last treatment, while still in the bean state, more caffeine breaks down above 235 degrees Celsius, 455 degrees Fahrenheit. Dark roasting is the utmost step in bean processing, removing the most caffeine. Although, dark roasting is not to be confused with the decaffeination process.
I was thinking about trying to get on like decaffeinated coffee because I still like the taste of coffee. I like the warm bitterness of it, but I don't know. It's just too damn good. You can love it. Okay, cool. They have a section for that. Good.
Grading roasted beans. See also, food grading. Depending on the color of the roasted beans as perceived by the human eye, they will be labeled as light, medium, dark, or very dark.
Look at these guys. Ooh, that's good. Like, that's the good coffee there. That, the brown bubbles. It's good. I already got mine. It's a little bit of an alcoholic coffee. Coffee tasters, like what? Do they like sip on it like wine and spit it out? Like how do you do that? Coffee cuppers. Professional tasters grade the coffee.
A more accurate method of discerning the degree of roast involves measuring the reflected light from roasted seeds illuminated with a light source in the near-infrared spectrum. This elaborate light meter uses a process known as spectroscopy to return a number that consistently indicates the roasted coffee's relative degree of roast or flavor development. Roast characteristics. The degree of roast has an effect upon coffee flavor and body. Darker roasts are generally bolder because they have less fiber content and a more sugary flavor. Lighter roasts have a more complex and therefore perceived stronger flavor from aromatic oils and acids otherwise destroyed by longer roasting times. Roasting does not alter the amount of caffeine in the bean, but does give less caffeine when the beans are measured by volume because the beans expand during roasting. A small amount of chaff is produced during roasting from the skin left on the seed after processing. Chaff is usually removed from the seeds by air movement, though a small amount is added to dark roast coffees to soak up oils on the seeds. Decaffeination. Decaffeination of coffee seeds is done while the seeds are still green. Many methods can remove caffeine from coffee, but all involve either soaking the green seeds in hot water, often called the Swiss water process, or steaming them, then using a solvent to dissolve caffeine-containing oils. Decaffeination is often done by processing companies, and the extracted caffeine is usually sold to the pharmaceutical industry. Storage. Main article, coffee bean storage. Coffee is best stored in an airtight
This is something I need to learn more about. Is like what is the proper way of storing coffee? I think if you already grinded it, I think at that point like you have a finite amount of days before like the shit starts turning bad and you get that real nasty bitter taste. Oh, I hate that. That's something that ruins my day. Lukewarm to like cold coffee that's just bitter as hell. Oh, it gives me major headaches too. Hate it. Of course, that might be just the lack of water, but yeah. But I freeze my beans. Like I put the beans in the freezer, and then I go in there and start grinding. That's kind of the go-to there for that.
Coffee is best stored in an airtight container made of ceramic, glass or non-reactive metal.
Yeah.
Higher quality prepackaged coffee usually has a one-way valve which prevents air from entering while allowing the coffee to release gases. Coffee freshness and flavor.
Oh, is that the tab that are on the like little bags? I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I always wondered why there's like that little like circle piece on there. Okay. Cool.
Coffee freshness and flavor is preserved when it is stored away from moisture, heat, and light. The tendency of coffee to absorb strong smells from food means that it should be kept away from such smells. Storage of coffee in refrigerators is not recommended due to the presence of moisture which can cause deterioration. Exterior walls of buildings which face the sun may heat the interior of a home, and this heat may damage coffee stored near such a wall. Heat from nearby ovens also harms stored coffee. In 1931, a method of packing coffee in a sealed vacuum in cans was introduced. The roasted coffee was packed and then 99% of the air was removed, allowing the coffee to be stored indefinitely until the can was opened. Today this method is in mass use for coffee in a large part of the world. Brewing. Main article, coffee preparation. Coffee beans must be ground and brewed to create a beverage. The criteria for choosing a method include flavor and economy.
Thank you, Space Cat.
Almost all methods of preparing coffee require that the beans be ground and then mixed with hot water long enough to allow the flavor to emerge but not so long as to draw out bitter compounds. The liquid can be consumed after the spent grounds are removed. Brewing considerations include the fineness of grind, the way in which the water is used to extract the flavor, the ratio of coffee grounds to water, the brew ratio. Brewing.
Let's redo that, and then we're going to go into the health
beans
effects.
Must be ground and brewed to create a beverage. The criteria for choosing a method include flavor and economy. Almost all methods of preparing coffee require that the beans be ground and then mixed with hot water long enough to allow the flavor to emerge but not so long as to draw out bitter compounds. The liquid can be consumed after the spent grounds are removed. Brewing considerations include the fineness of grind, the way in which the water is used to extract the flavor, the ratio of coffee grounds to water, the brew ratio, additional flavorings such as sugar, milk, and spices, and the technique to be used to separate spent grounds. Optimal coffee extraction occurs between 91 and 96 degrees Celsius, 196 and 205 degrees Fahrenheit. Ideal holding temperatures range from 85 to 88 degrees Celsius, 185 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, to as high as 93 degrees Celsius, 199 degrees Fahrenheit, and the ideal serving temperature is 68 to 79 degrees Celsius, 154 to 174 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, you're gonna have to ask that old lady. That you remember that? You remember that lawsuit? Fucking what was it? McDonald's had to deal with. Oh man, that old lady. She took her coffee right to the groin. Had I think she had like second and third degree burns. Yeah, that was bad. And I wonder like what was like the coffee temperature? It was hot enough to fucking like burn the hell out of her, which was brutal. Yeah, McDonald's had a different way of doing that, which was brutal.
The recommended brew ratio for non-espresso coffee is around 55 to 60 grams of grounds per liter of water, or 2 level tablespoons for a 150 to 180 milliliter, 5 to 6 US fluid ounces, cup. The roasted coffee beans may be ground at a roastery, in a grocery store, or in the home. Most coffee is roasted and ground at a roastery and sold in packaged form, though roasted coffee beans can be ground at home immediately before consumption. It is also possible, though uncommon, to roast raw beans at home. Coffee beans may be ground in various ways. A burr grinder uses revolving elements to shear the seed. A blade grinder cuts the seeds with blades moving at high speed, and a mortar and pestle crushes the seeds. For most brewing methods a burr grinder is deemed superior because the grind is more even and the grind size can be adjusted. The type of grind is often named after the brewing method for which it is generally used. Turkish grind is the finest grind, while coffee percolator or French press are the coarsest grinds. The most common grinds are between these two extremes. A medium grind is used in most home coffee brewing machines. Coffee may be brewed by several methods. It may be boiled, steeped, or pressurized. Brewing coffee by boiling was the earliest method, and Turkish coffee is an example of this method. It is prepared by grinding or pounding the seeds to a fine powder, then adding it to water and bringing it to the boil for no more than an instant in a pot called a jezve or, in Greek, a mu by Rocapuio tabriki, from Turkish ibrik. This produces a strong coffee with a layer of foam on the surface and sediment, which is not meant for drinking, settling at the bottom of the cup. Coffee percolators and automatic coffee makers brew coffee using gravity. In an automatic coffee maker, hot water drips onto coffee grounds that are held in a paper, plastic,
This is
or
what I first
perforated
started
metal
with.
coffee filter, allowing the water to seep through the ground coffee while extracting its oils and essences. The liquid drips through the coffee in the filter into a carafe or pot, and the spent grounds are retained in the filter. In a percolator, boiling water is forced into a chamber above a filter by steam pressure created by boiling. The water then seeps through the grounds, and the process is repeated until terminated by removing from the heat, by an internal timer, or by a thermostat that turns off the heater when the entire pot reaches a certain temperature. Coffee may be brewed by steeping in a device such as a French press, also known as a cafetiere, coffee press or coffee plunger. Ground
This is
coffee and
the
hot water
superior
are
way
combined in a cylindrical
to do
vessel and
it.
left to brew for a few minutes. A circular filter which fits tightly in the cylinder fixed to a plunger is then pushed down from the top to force the grounds to the bottom. The filter retains the grounds at the bottom as the coffee is poured from the container. Because the coffee grounds are in direct contact with the water, all the coffee oils remain in the liquid, making it a stronger beverage. This method of brewing leaves more sediment than in coffee made by an automatic coffee machine. Supporters of the French press method point out that the sediment issue can be minimized by using the right type of grinder. They claim that a rotary blade grinder cuts the coffee bean into a wide range of sizes, including a fine coffee dust that remains as sludge at the bottom of the cup, while a burr grinder uniformly grinds the beans into consistently sized grinds, allowing the coffee to settle uniformly and be trapped by the press. Within the first minute of brewing, 95% of the caffeine is released from the coffee bean. The espresso method.
Oh, what? Within the first minutes of brewing, 95% of the caffeine is released. Wow.
The espresso method forces hot pressurized and vaporized water through ground coffee. As a result of brewing under high pressure, typically 9 bar, the espresso beverage is more concentrated, as much as 10 to 15 times the quantity of coffee to water as gravity brewing methods can produce, and has a more complex physical and chemical constitution. A well-prepared espresso has a reddish-brown foam called crema that floats on the surface. Other pressurized water methods include the moka pot and vacuum coffee maker. Cold brew coffee is made by steeping coarsely ground beans in cold water for several hours, then filtering them. This results in a brew lower in acidity than most hot brewing methods. Nutrition. Brewed coffee from typical grounds prepared with tap water contains 40 mg caffeine per 100 gram and no essential nutrients in significant content. In espresso, however, likely due to its higher amount of suspended solids, there are significant contents of magnesium, the B vitamins, niacin and riboflavin, and 212 mg of caffeine per 100 grams of grounds. Serving. See also, list of coffee drinks. Once brewed, coffee may be served in a variety of ways. Drip brewed, percolated, or French pressed cafetiere coffee. Instant coffee. Main article, instant coffee. A number of products are sold for the convenience of consumers who do not want to prepare their own coffee or who do not have access to coffee making equipment.
Let me tell you, that is rough. Woo, man. Drinking that type of coffee? Man, I've had instant coffees where I've only spat out like actual few drinks, and the majority of them have been instant coffees that were just shit. But I'll tell you what, I had an instant coffee recently. I just been recently exposed to it. All right. I forgot what it was called, but like it was like a dark and brown coffee, and it was gorgeous, like yellow packaging. Oh, it's delicious. Delicious. Yes. Copico. Oh. Let me tell you. When it comes down to that, you get that Copico and you just get that one sip, you're just like, gotta love it. Absolutely love it. Oh yeah, duh, because I'm on the site. I tried to do a funny joke and it didn't work. But that's okay. All right, cool. Let's continue on with instant coffee.
Instant coffee is dried into soluble powder or freeze-dried into granules that can be quickly dissolved in hot water. Originally invented in 1907, it rapidly gained in popularity in many countries in the post-war period, with Nescafé being the most popular product. Many consumers determined that the convenience in preparing a cup of instant coffee more than made up for a perceived inferior taste, although, since the late 1970s, instant coffee has been produced differently in such a way that is similar to the taste of freshly brewed coffee. Paralleling, and complementing, the rapid rise of instant coffee was the coffee vending machine invented in 1947 and widely distributed since the 1950s. Canned coffee has been popular in Asian countries for many years, particularly in China, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. Vending machines typically sell varieties of flavored canned coffee, much like brewed or percolated coffee, available both hot and cold. Japanese convenience stores and groceries also have a wide availability of bottled coffee drinks, which are typically lightly sweetened and pre-blended with milk. Bottled coffee drinks are also consumed in the United States. Liquid coffee concentrates are sometimes used in large institutional situations where coffee needs to be produced for thousands of people at the same time. It is described as having a flavor about as good as low-grade Robusta coffee, and costs about 10 a cup to produce. The machines can process up to 500 cups an hour, or 1,000 if the water is preheated.
I'll never forget, what was it, the one time I was in college and just the fucking, it was brutal. What was it? I think it was like my senior year. What was it? You could chew instant coffee. You just skip the water. True. You could just nibble on the beans. That's about it, which is good. I wouldn't mind it. It's pretty dope. What was it? I know, what was it? But yeah, no, I was in college and there was an Insta coffee thing, and it was like the nastiest, just fucking, it would just shit out the coffee. And I tell you what, it was the most delicious thing I've ever had. It was like, it knew what it was. It was definitely hot water with like some chocolatey type flavors. It wasn't like hot chocolate, but it had something to it. And those nights when you were in the library or we would be animating and working on art at the studio and be like 3 o'clock in the fucking morning and the library was still open. Oh my God. You go into the basement of that lobby and it would just be sitting there. Just a little rectangle god of caffeine. And it also had like a rotator of like food. You would like unslit it and like get your fucking nasty ass hot dog and you go, oh yeah. Those 3 o'clock in the morning meals, those took years off my life. I know it has. Oh yeah. All right, let's see the health effects of coffee. I'm very curious.
Health effects. A 2017 review of clinical trials found that drinking coffee is generally safe within usual levels of intake and is more likely to improve health outcomes than to cause harm at doses of 3 or 4 cups of coffee daily. Exceptions include possible increased risk in women having bone fractures, and a possible increased risk in pregnant women of fetal loss or decreased birth weight. Results were complicated by poor study quality, and differences in age, gender, health status, and serving size. Digestion. A 1999 review found that coffee does not cause indigestion, but may promote gastrointestinal reflux. 2 reviews of clinical studies on people recovering from abdominal, colorectal, and gynecological surgery found that coffee consumption was safe and effective for enhancing postoperative gastrointestinal function.
Wait, what? Gastrointestinal function disease. GERD is a chronic condition in which stomach contents rise up to the esophagus, resulting in either symptoms of complications. Symptoms include the taste of acid in the back of mouth, heartburn, bad breath, chest pain, regurgitation, breathing problems, and wearing away of teeth. Oh, fuck. What is it? 2 reviews. So, does not cause, but may promote. Okay.
Mortality. In 2012, the National Institutes of Health, A AARP diet and health study found that higher coffee consumption was associated with lower risk of death, and that those who drank any coffee lived longer than those who did not. However, the authors noted, whether this was a causal or associational finding cannot be determined from our data. A 2014 meta-analysis found that coffee consumption, 4 cups a day, was inversely associated with all-cause mortality, a 16% lower risk, as well as cardiovascular disease mortality, specifically, a 21% lower risk from drinking 3 cups a day, but not with cancer mortality, with exception being oral cancer mortality. Additional meta-analyses corroborated these findings, showing that higher coffee consumption, 4 cups per day, was associated with a reduced risk of death by all disease causes. An association of coffee drinking with reduced risk for death from various sources was confirmed by a widely cited prospective cohort study of 10 European countries in 2017. Cardiovascular disease. Moderate coffee consumption is not a risk factor for coronary heart disease. A 2012 meta-analysis concluded that people who drank moderate amounts of coffee had a lower rate of heart failure, with the biggest effect found for those who drank more than 4 cups a day. A 2014 meta-analysis concluded that cardiovascular disease, such as coronary artery disease and stroke, is less likely with 3 to 5 cups of non-decaffeinated coffee per day, but more likely with over 5 cups per day. A 2016 meta-analysis showed that coffee consumption was associated with a reduced risk of death in patients who have had a myocardial infarction. The effect of no...
I've done that before. You'll burp it. You'll burp that shit right out of you. It's nasty as hell, though.
The effect of no or moderate daily consumption of coffee on risk for developing hypertension has been assessed in several reviews during the 21st century. A 2019 review found that 1 to 2 cups consumed per day had no effect on hypertension risk, whereas drinking 3 or more cups per day reduced the risk. A finding in agreement with a 2017 analysis which showed a 9% lower risk of hypertension with long-term consumption of up to 7 cups of coffee per day. Another review in 2018 found that the risk of hypertension was reduced by 2% with each 1 cup per day increment of coffee consumption up to 8 cups per day, compared with people who did not consume any coffee. By contrast, a 2011 review had found that drinking 1 to 3 cups of coffee per day may pose a slightly increased risk of developing hypertension. Mental health. The UK NHS advises that avoiding coffee may reduce anxiety. Caffeine, the major active ingredient in coffee.
How the fuck does that do? What do you mean? Oh, what? Like you get hyper focused on it? Oh, advises the avoiding coffee may reduce anxiety. Okay. I should have a coffee diet. Probably fucking same here, honestly. Caffeine itself.
Caffeine, the major active ingredient in coffee, is associated with anxiety. At high doses, typically greater than 300 milligrams, caffeine can both cause and worsen anxiety. For some people, discontinuing caffeine use can significantly reduce anxiety. Caffeine-induced anxiety disorder is a subclass of substance or medication-induced anxiety disorder. Populations that may be most impacted by caffeine consumption are adolescents and those already suffering anxiety disorders. Preliminary research indicated the possibility of a beneficial relationship between coffee intake and reduced depression. Long-term preliminary research, including assessment of symptoms for dementia and cognitive impairment, was inconclusive for coffee having an effect in the elderly, mainly due to the poor quality of the studies. Parkinson's disease. Meta-analyses have consistently found that long-term coffee consumption is associated with a lower risk of Parkinson's disease. Type 2 diabetes. In a systematic review and meta-analysis of 28 prospective observational studies, representing over 1 million participants, every additional cup of caffeinated and decaffeinated coffee consumed in a day was associated, respectively, with a 9% and 6% lower risk of type 2 diabetes, cancer. Research on the effects of coffee consumption on cancer risk generally has indicated no effect or a slightly lower risk of cancer, particularly in the liver. Liver disease. Increasing evidence has shown that coffee consumption is protective against the progression of liver disease to cirrhosis. This is associated with antioxidant and antifibrotic effects of coffee.
Okay. We've been like, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that we've been learning about it. Well, let's see here. Society and culture. Coffee break. Prohibition and condemnation. Folklore and culture. Okay, we'll finish off on society and culture with coffee, and then we're gonna have to. Damn. I'll be honest, students. I'm kind of feeling it right now. Okay, you know what? All right, yeah, we're gonna. Damn. This is gonna be coffee versus tea. I think we're gonna have to just stick with coffee right now because I'm getting pretty tired. So we're gonna stick with society and culture with coffee, and then I got something fun for us to do afterwards. All right, we're gonna be reacting to some crazy coffee commercials. We're gonna be talking about Folgers and all that fun stuff. Okay, so don't worry, don't go anywhere. Okay. All right, we're gonna be talking about society and stuff like that, and like we're gonna try to figure out the fair trade. So okay, we don't need to do that. We're gonna do tea. We're gonna do tea later on. All right. Honestly, I might just do tea tomorrow. We might just learn about tea tomorrow. That would be better. And then Wednesday we'll play some video games and we'll have fun with that. Okay. That's how we're gonna do it. So okay. Now what the hell? Society and culture.
Society and culture. Main article, coffee culture. Coffee is often consumed alongside, or instead of, breakfast by many at home or when eating out at diners or cafeterias. It is often served at the end of a formal meal, normally with a dessert, and at times with an after-dinner mint, especially when consumed at a restaurant or dinner party.
Honestly, I have never, after I moved from Cali, I realized that it's honest, I've never done that before. Had a coffee after a dinner, and then as soon as I got back, or not got here to Jersey, it was like, oh shit, that was the thing. I've never done that before. Now it's very much like, oh wow, now it's like my go-to every time. It's like eating a big meal, I'm always passing out. I'm getting knocked out like I just fought Tyson every time. Now it's like, oh, okay, cool. Let me just douse a little bit of coffee. And it's I don't know, it's fun. It feels good.
Break. A coffee break in the United States and elsewhere is a short mid-morning rest period granted to employees in business and industry, corresponding with the Commonwealth terms 11s, smoko, in Australia, morning tea, tea break, or even just tea. An afternoon coffee break, or afternoon tea, often occurs as well. The coffee break originated in the late 19th century in Stoughton, Wisconsin, with the wives of Norwegian immigrants. The city celebrates this every year with the Stoughton Coffee Break Festival. In 1951, Time noted that, since the war, the coffee break has been written into union contracts. The term subsequently became popular through a Pan-American Coffee Bureau ad campaign of 1952 which urged consumers. The city celebrates this every The term subsequently became popular through a Pan-American Coffee Bureau ad campaign of 1952 which urged consumers, give yourself a coffee break, and get what coffee gives to you. John B. Watson, a behavioral...
Alright, that's pretty funny, but wait a minute, I want to see what this festival is about. You know I'm all about the festival. What we got? Stoughton? Coffee Break Festival? Alright, we just missed it. Damn. Yeah, what is the Coffee Break Festival? Are there videos on it? Let's see here. Is there just like...
For millions of people, the coffee break is a key but often underappreciated part of each day.
Yeah.
To stop and give the break its proper due, the town of Stoughton, Wisconsin, hosts an annual coffee break festival. The gathering includes coffee tastings, brew-offs, and bean-spitting contests.
Whoa.
Why Stoughton? According to city officials, the coffee break was born in the city in the late 1800s, as women working at the local Gunderson tobacco warehouse began the ritual of pausing during the workday to brew up some coffee and have a chat.
You know, it was definitely during those times of like, what was it, like child labor and shit. So you know they're just like, dude, let me just fucking, I can't feel my fucking fingers, man. Just let me go get some coffee or something. All right.
A behavioral psychologist who worked with Maxwell House later in his career, helped to popularize coffee breaks within the American culture. Coffee breaks usually last from 10 to 20 minutes and frequently occur at the end of the first third of the work shift. In some companies and some civil service, the coffee break may be observed formally at a set hour. In some places, a cart with hot and cold beverages and cakes, breads and pastries arrives at the same time morning and afternoon. An employer may contract with an outside caterer for daily service. Or coffee breaks may take place away from the actual work area in a designated cafeteria or tea room. More generally, the phrase coffee break has also come to denote any break from work. Prohibition and Condemnation. Coffee was initially used for spiritual reasons. At least 1,100 years ago, traders brought coffee across the Red Sea into Arabia, modern-day Yemen, where Muslim dervishes began cultivating the shrub in their gardens. At first, the Arabians made wine from the pulp of the fermented coffee berries. This beverage was known as kishr in modern usage, and was used during religious ceremonies. An ulama of jurists and scholars meeting in Mecca in 1511.
Couldn't imagine that. You know how hyped up church would be? Just like you're having wine coffee. Fucking go, let's go. Ready for God, let's go. I couldn't imagine that. Just all that energy going in. People losing their minds. Already, I'm ready for the Lord. Blood of Christ giving me energy. Couldn't imagine that. Just losing their minds. Oh. So I'm ready to snort the bean of Jesus. The blood of Christ. And of course, I'm sticking with the religious context of Christianity. If Christians did this. Just because, I mean, I don't know any of the Muslim practices, so not even going to try to interpret that. That's pretty cool, though.
An ulama of jurists and scholars meeting in Mecca in 1511 prohibited coffee drinking as haram, but where the coffee was intoxicating was hotly debated over the next 30 years until the ban was finally overturned in the mid-16th century. Using religious rites among the Sufi branch of Islam led to coffees being put on trial in Mecca. It was accused of being a heretical substance, and its production and consumption were briefly repressed. An edict of Sultan Murad IV, R. 1623, 1640, later prohibited it in Ottoman Turkey. Ethiopian Orthodox Christians prohibited coffee, regarded as a Muslim drink, until as late as 1889. As of 2019 it is considered a national drink of Ethiopia for people of all faiths.
Okay. Yeah, see, like, the Muslims, they thought it was more just like, this might be pretty intoxicating, and we don't know if, like, people are getting, like, you know, getting drunk off of it, or like getting addicted to the caffeine. Christians were just like, oh my God, brown people are drinking it? No, we don't want any of that. We don't want any of that. They were just simply racist towards it. Understood. Got it.
Ethiopian Orthodox Christians prohibited coffee, regarded as a Muslim drink, until as late as 1889. As of 2019 it is considered a national drink of Ethiopia for people of all faiths. In 1670 some French doctors condemned coffee as poisonous. Coffee's early association in Europe with rebellious political activities led to King Charles II of England outlawing coffee houses from January 1676.
Holy shit.
Although the subsequent uproar forced the monarch to back down 2 days before the ban was due to come into force. King Frederick the Great banned it in Prussia in 1777 for nationalistic and economic reasons. Concerned about the price of imports, he sought to force the public back to consuming beer. Lacking coffee-producing colonies, Prussia had to import all its coffee at a great cost. A contemporary example of religious prohibition of coffee can be found in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The organization regards the consumption of coffee as both physically and spiritually unhealthy. This attitude comes from the Mormon doctrine of health, published in 1833 by founder Joseph Smith in a revelation called the Word of Wisdom. This text does not identify coffee by name, but includes the statements that hot drinks are not for the belly, which Latter-day Saints have interpreted as forbidding both coffee and tea. Quite a number of members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church also avoid caffeinated drinks.
Like, what the fuck? Why, like, what's up with, like, religions? They only, like, religious people only want downers. Like, I guess they really do get high off of Jesus. Maybe, I guess. Just that Holy Ghost gets, sent through you.
In its teachings, the Church encourages members to avoid tea, coffee, and other stimulants. Abstinence from coffee, tobacco, and alcohol by many Adventists has afforded a near unique opportunity for studies to be conducted within the population group on the health effects of coffee drinking, free from confounding factors. One study showed a weak but statistically significant association between coffee consumption and mortality from ischemic heart disease, other cardiovascular disease, all cardiovascular diseases combined, and all causes of death. For a time, controversy existed in the Jewish community over whether the coffee seed was a legume, and therefore prohibited for Passover. Upon petition from coffee maker Maxwell House, Orthodox Jewish Rabbi Hirsch Cohn in 1923 classified the coffee seed as a berry rather than as a seed, and therefore kosher for Passover. Fair trade. Main article, Fair Trade Coffee. See also, Fair Trade Debate. The concept of fair trade labeling, which guarantees coffee growers a negotiated pre-harvest price, began in the late 1980s with the Max Havelaar Foundation's labeling program in the Netherlands. In 2004, 24,222 metric tons, of 7,050,000 produced worldwide, were fair trade. In 2005, 33,991 metric tons out of 6,685,000 were fair trade, an increase from 0.34% to 0.51%. A number of fair trade impact studies have shown that fair trade coffee produces a mixed impact on the communities that grow it. Many studies are skeptical about fair trade, reporting that it often worsens the bargaining power of those who are not part of it. The very first fair trade coffee was an effort to import a Guatemalan coffee into Europe as Indio Solidarity Coffee. Since the founding of organizations such as the European Fair Trade Association, 1987, the production and consumption of fair trade coffee has grown as some local and national coffee chains started to offer fair trade alternatives. For example, in April 2000, after a year-long campaign by the human rights organization Global Exchange, Starbucks decided to carry fair trade coffee in its stores. Since September 2009, all Starbucks espresso beverages in UK and Ireland are made with fair trade and Shared Planet certified coffee. A 2005 study done in Belgium concluded that consumers' buying behavior is not consistent with their positive attitude toward ethical products. On average, 46% of European consumers claimed to be willing to pay substantially more for ethical products, including fair trade products such as coffee. The study found that the majority of respondents were unwilling to pay the actual price premium of 27% for fair trade coffee. Folklore and culture. The Oromo people would customarily plant a coffee tree on the graves of powerful sorcerers. They believed that the first coffee bush sprang up from the tears that the god of heaven shed over the corpse of a dead sorcerer. Johann Sebastian.
That's fucking dope. Found out there was money in coffee. And that's fucking dope. The Aroma people. Cushitic ethnic group and nation native Ethiopia and Kenya. That's fucking dope. God crying over a dead sorcerer, and then they would make coffee. Yeah, totally. Why not? I love that.
Johann Sebastian Bach was inspired to compose the humorous coffee cantata about dependence on the beverage, which was controversial in the early 18th century. Economic impacts. Further information, list of countries by coffee production, market volatility, and thus increased returns, during 1830 encouraged Brazilian entrepreneurs to shift their attention from gold to coffee, a crop hitherto reserved for local consumption. Concurrent with this shift was the commissioning of vital infrastructures, including approximately 7,000 kilometers of railroads between 1860 and 1885. The creation of these railways enabled the importation of workers, to meet the enormous need for labor. This development primarily affected the state of Rio de Janeiro, as well as the southern states of Brazil, most notably Sao Paulo, due to its favorable climate, soils, and terrain. Coffee production attracted immigrants in search of better economic opportunities in the early 1900s. Mainly, these were Portuguese, Italian, Spanish, German, and Japanese nationals. For instance, Sao Paulo received approximately 733,000 immigrants in the decade preceding 1900, whilst only receiving approximately 201,000 immigrants in the 6 years to 1890. The production yield of coffee increases. In 1880, Sao Paulo produced 1.2 million bags, 25% of total production. In 1888, 2.6 million, 40%. In 1902, 8 million bags, 60%. Coffee is then 63% of the country's exports. The gains made by this trade allow sustained economic growth in the country. The 4 years between planting a coffee and the first harvest extends seasonal variations in the price of coffee. The Brazilian government is thus forced, to some extent, to keep strong price subsidies during production periods. Competition. Coffee competitions take place across the globe with people at the regional competing to achieve national titles and then compete on the international stage. World Coffee Events holds the largest of such events, moving the location of the final competition each year. The competition includes the following events: Barista Championship, Brewers Cup, Latte Art, and Cup Tasters. The World Brewers Cup Championship takes place in Melbourne, Australia, every year, that houses contestants from around the world to crown the world's coffee king.
That's fucking dope.
The World Brew.
Yeah, can we check that out? Let's see. It's an annual international coffee brewing competition organized by the World Coffee Events. Past winners. Let's see, who was the latest one? Oh, I guess they didn't meet up because of COVID, I'm guessing. Oh shit! Fucking US! Let's go! Wait, right? Oh no, it was held. Okay, sorry. I thought a US guy won it. It was the Winners Affiliate Association Coffee. All right. 90 plus Gesha. Oh. What do you got? Let me. Plus coffee. Damn. Holy shit. This is like a whole thing. What you got, huh? How much is it? For that? That looks like one of like Edna's poisons. Oh my god. Well, look at that packaging. The packaging though is really nice, but like what the fuck? $30 for it looks like a cup. Oh, but don't worry. Yeah, 142. We got you about 5 cups of coffee right here. Damn. All right, everybody. Let's go ahead. Let's see here. All right. This is where we're going to have to separate our YouTube and Twitch just because I don't trust YouTube shit. All right, I'm trying not to figure that out. I'll try to upload it on YouTube, but I don't think we could do it live. All right, we're gonna react to some old coffee and vintage coffee commercials. All right, I got lined up. I'm super excited to see how that looks. It should be fun. All right, there's a lot of kind of fun, funny stuff within there and fun jokes. So we're gonna go ahead and react to all that. We're gonna have a fun bit. So come on over and join us on YouTube, and we're gonna continue on the little thing here. Let me cut it off here on the. How small are they? Yeah. Let's figure out like actually how, like what's the size of this thing? So, okay. Time to drink some coffee. So, okay. Unroast, so 10 grams. 10 grams roasted is $17. Let's see. It's per cup. The average cost. So yeah, you're paying $17 to drink a cup of coffee. The ideal grams of coffee beans you need for a perfect cup of coffee falls somewhere between 7 grams to 10 grams depending on who you speak to. And for $55, you can get 5 cups of coffee. So yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with, folks. Which is some wild stuff. All right. So the YouTube people are out of here. They should be. Oh, no, they're not. What are you still doing here? Let's see here. I want to stop being live just because I don't want to get flagged on YouTube immediately. I would rather just kind of do the editing onto this. I think it's raining. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. All right, everybody. YouTube people, I'm cutting it out of here. All right. You have yourself a good one. Thank you all for the 100 gifted for the 100 subs. All right. For the 100 subscribers. Okay. Here's the next 100 ones. Come on over to Twitch and we're going to start reacting to some videos and stuff like that and have a good old time with that. All right. I will catch you all later. Have yourself a good one. Bye.